Hey, what's up, Jim fam? This is Constance Carter. You guys come on in. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. It's Gym Masterclass time, and it's time that we get to the subject at hand. So, you guys, everybody, tell all your friends that we are in the building. Let everybody know. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of streams on here just so that we can add everybody else. You guys, where y'all watching from? Before we get started, I love to see who's on here. Here we go. I'm adding some other streams. All right, where you guys at? Where you watching from? Where you learning from? Actually, I should say, where you learning from? Put in the comments where you learning from, because I always love to know who's in the building. I know we had, I don't know, maybe 100 or so people register for this training today. I see you, Tamara, always here from from South Carolina. What's happening? I see you, Paula from Huntsville, Alabama. What's up? I see you, Tina from Cali. What's happening? Okay, I know there's more people coming in, but I want to get right to it because you only have me an hour. But I do want to have a conversation. This is International Black Women's History Month. And I wanted to have all of these trainings, not specifically just for Black women, for everyone, but I wanted to have these trainings so I could really teach you some wealth building strategies over this last month. This is also Financial Literacy Month. I don't know if you knew. I didn't really mention Financial Literacy Month. I've been shouting out all the Black women that are in my group. I'm live. Ari, I'm not live every day on YouTube. I come live on Mondays on YouTube. Tuesdays, I do what's called a gym masterclass, which is a free masterclass. You typically have to sign up, but I'm opening it up to the public. What's happening, Dennis Braggins? Typically the gym masterclasses, which I'm on right now, are just for the people inside the gym masterclass. But because this is Black Women's History Month, I'm just pushing it out to everyone. But there are people who registered for this training, so you guys come on in. But I wanted to have a conversation with you about the number one wealth builder, which is real estate. And I don't know if you know, and so I don't know who's all on here. I don't know. You can't hear me? Is anybody having issues hearing me? Is anybody having issues hearing me? Let me know. Can y'all hear me? Because Pamela says she can't hear me. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me okay? Put in the comments if you can hear me okay before I keep going. Y'all hear me? What's up? Okay, I see Peachy from Covington. I'm over here on Instagram. I see Muhammad from Harbor, Michigan. What's happening? What's happening, all you guys over here on Instagram too? Thank you for joining us and thank you for participating. Just so you know, okay, y'all can hear me. Okay, Vanessa. Okay, cool. Just so you know, if you want to get some of the things that I'll be offering at the end, go to gymmasterclass.com. Go to gymmasterclass.com so you can come inside the gym masterclass, and so you can get all the little special goodies that we have at the end. I'll put that on the bottom. So if you want to come inside, come to gymmasterclass.com. Okay. So I want to talk to you about real estate. Why do I want to talk to you about real estate? Well, I built my career on real estate. I want to just give you a little bit of background about me, just in case you don't know who I am, in case you might have just run across any of my information, my ads, but I'll tell you really quickly about my real estate journey. I was 22 when I got married, 23 when we had our first child, 23 when we bought our first house. So we moved essentially from San Jose, California to a little town called Stockton, California. And I ended up living there about 22 years. Got my real estate license. I bought a house and I was working in IT. I was an IT analyst and, did pretty good in IT. And then once I bought my house, I was like, I really like this real estate thing. A lot of people told me that I wasn't going to be able to buy a house. And then when I understood how it worked, I seen what it did for me. I seen how I was able to take a little equity out and pay off my student loans and get out of debt and reduce my payments and all these things that I was able to do with the equity. I was like, oh my God, everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to have this. And I really just wanted to help people. And if you go to my book, The Secret to Breaking the Broke Code, this is one of the books I wrote. And when I first got my real estate license, y'all, I wrote a letter. It's on page 37. On page 37 in my book, I sent out an email and I said, hi, friends, I just want to let you know that I just got my real estate license. This was sent out Wednesday, October 9th, 2002. I've been in real estate since 2002. And this email was Constance_Smith@yahoo.com. I got to go check to see if I still have that email address. But the subject was buying or selling a home. And it says, I want to let you know, I got my real estate license. The reason why I chose to get into this field is that I just want to help people reach their dreams. I want to help people who never thought they could own a home. own one. And if you're in the market for a home, either buying or selling, please let me know. This is my first email that I sent out to everybody in my email list. Back then, when I first started doing real estate, we didn't have Facebook. Our sphere of influence was people that we knew. We had to pick up the phone and call. We didn't have text messages. We had to call people, or we send emails, or we knock on doors, or we send postcards. But it was not this everybody's at your fingertips where you could just reach out to everybody, let them know. But I really just wanted to help people. And what real estate did for me personally is I bought my first property, and then I bought another property, and I bought, very soon, because I started in real estate. I went on to become a top producer very, very quickly early in my career, just working independently, just helping people, aligning myself with different programs that I knew could help other people to be able to build wealth. And I became a top producer. Eventually got my broker's license, opened up a real estate company, which went on to become the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California. I've done over $1 billion in real estate sales, helped thousands of families. But when I approach real estate, it's not just me selling you a house. And the strategies that I'm going to talk about today, they're strategies that I teach my clients. They're things that I set them up for real wealth building. But I'm telling you guys, real estate is the way. Real estate is gold. Real estate is the number one way. Well, the number one way that wealth is passed is intergenerationally. It's passed, right? Through generation to generation. Unfortunately for Black people, we weren't able to partake in a lot of these wealth building experiences or opportunities because of things like redlining and predatory lending. They shut us out of that. So we couldn't buy homes like other people were. So you see they have a 400-year head start. They've been buying homes since the inception of this country. They got the Homestead Act, which gave them 46 million acres of land for free. Twice they've gotten homesteads that's given them land for free that shut Black people out. We were supposed to get 40 acres in a mule. We never got our 40 acres in a mule. And yet we were able to build these great communities in spite of, and every time we did that, they did whatever they could, every effort to destroy us. And that's what's going on with the administration right now. You have these same really wicked and evil people that are in these positions that don't want to see you succeed. And so what they've done is they voted for their demise, because what they don't understand is not only do these people hate Black people, but they don't care about poor white people either. And so poor white people care so much about Black people, about taking away from us, that they've actually taken away from themselves. And what I say, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is the best time in the history of the world to be Black, to be in this country, to be alive, because this is where opportunity presents itself. This is the intersection of opportunity, I believe, and we need to be partaking. And that's the reason why I teach what I teach, is because I want you to see the opportunity, and not only see it, but I want you to seize the opportunity. I want you to see it. I want you to know it exists. I want you to hold it in your hand, and then I want you to seize it. I don't want you just to mind your business in this season where where all kind of shit is going on. I want you to start minding your business as well. I want you to start growing and building and developing. And this is the reason why I do this. And so real estate for me is the low hanging fruit. Real estate for me is the thing that I know very well that I can do, sleep in the back of my head. Like, I know it. And I'm really good at it. And I don't want to toot my own horn, and I don't toot my own horn about a whole lot, because there's a lot of things that I don't know. There's a lot of things. I always say, if you ever heard me speak, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but there are certain things that I really know. And real estate is one of those things that I really, really know. I really have an understanding. I really know how to take it and help you to use it for leverage. I know how to help you to create your wealth strategy and your wealth plan. And so one of the things that I did early on is I bought everything individually. And let me tell you about that, because that was a thing that it was a plan that I had, but then it hurt, but then it was a blessing. And let me tell you why. So early on when we were married, when I was married and I was building my real estate career, I would put everything in my name. It was mostly because I had the good credit, but also I was working on his credit, and I was saving everything up so that we didn't have to buy together. I used, my own credit, and then I was using his credit separately. So I was just buying property. Well, what happened in 2005, 2008? We were over leveraged. The market crashed, and then I ended up foreclosing on some properties. I ended up short selling some properties, and I ended up filing bankruptcy in 2009. as a result of me over leveraging. Not it was even over leveraging. It was just what the market did. It was the market wasn't bearing. It was these adjustable rate mortgages that I had gotten. I fell into the trap as well. So while I was building this portfolio, of course, this is both of ours because California is a community property state. So I didn't look at it as, oh, this is mine. This is not his. This was ours. I was just putting it in my name so that we could buy some more property in his name. Well, when 2008 came and I got caught holding the bag, and I had to short sell some property. I had to foreclose on some property. I'm making $250,000 a year. I have more month than money. I'm 33 years old, and now I'm stuck. Well, you know what I do have? I have him who has no property. I have a business that I'm now able to pay him, put him on payroll. So then I was able to use his credit. So that actually saved me because I was over leveraged. I had to foreclose on my stuff, but then I was able to buy other property in his name. So that's where I came up with and I started teaching that to my clients. Don't buy a house with your spouse. Not just because you're going to get in trouble. You can get in trouble and over leverage yourself, because that's not what I teach. What I teach is you can enlarge your territory by utilizing both, as long as you can afford it. I'm not telling you to over leverage yourself if you can't afford it. I could afford it at the time when I was buying it, but then the market changed and the rates adjusted and all the things that most of us weren't prepared for in 2008. And I was caught up. Okay. The goal though was to purchase properties in my name and purchase properties in his name. Now, after that happened, we started that over again. So we ended up, having the property in his name and then buying other properties in my name. But we never brought properties together ever, because what happens is we were able to leverage. I was able to purchase this property without having to use, having his debt involved, his income involved, and then he was able to purchase property. So that's how we were able to get more. Now, they both belong to all of us, both of us. Why? Because number one, California is a community property state. But number two, we have what? A living trust. And that's why having a living trust is so important. But so that's just my journey. This is just what I've done. So I built this really great company. I don't teach transaction to my real estate team. We don't talk about, it's just about a transaction. I'm just trying to sell you. I'm going to call 100 people, make 10 contacts and close 2 deals. I don't look at real estate, and I've never looked at real estate in that way. I've always looked at real estate as transformation rather than transaction. How do I help you? You see in the book, the first thing I said I wanted to do was help people realize a dream. It's always been my mission. So I remember calling a young lady, a lady I know said, hey, call my daughter. She's looking to refinance. I said, okay. So I call her and I'm like, hey, what how can I help you? I'm, really interested in helping you. And so she was like, okay, well, I'll give you a call back. And she calls me back and she goes, Constance, I didn't even know her. She goes, I was actually going to work with you, and I was going to work with my friend who does loans as well. I own a mortgage company as well. I was going to work with you, and I was going to work with her. She said, you know what was a differentiator? I said, what? She said, you said you wanted to help me. And that's how I've always looked at it. There's in our community, in the African American community, we've been so marginalized. We've been so set back and oppressed that we need so much help. And I always tell my agents that specifically focus on the African American community, because I have agents who focus on Hispanic community. I have agents that focus on luxury. I have agents who focus on first-time home buyers. But for the folks who focus on the African American community, I say this: you will never not have work. You will never not be busy, because there's so many of us who need help. We need help getting in homes. We need help with strategy. We need help building wealth. So you'll always be busy. You'll always have something to do, because so much of us need help. And it's not by our fault. It's because of the system. So as long as our mind is focused on helping people, we'll always be busy. And so that's what I'm here simply to do. That's why I do these things free every week, is because I just want to help you. I just want to give you some ideas. This is not going to be a deep dive. We're going to be on here roughly, 60 minutes. But I want to pique your interest and pique your mind on some of these strategies so that you can start implementing today. And if you want to work with me or work with my team, you're more than welcome to. But I just want to just put you up on some game that I think is going to really help change the trajectory of your life. Okay. Double A, let me tell you why you're not getting notifications when I go live, because I don't go live on YouTube. Remember, you only get notifications when I'm just live. This is not a live. This is actually a training, and what I've done is I pushed it out to YouTube and I pushed it out to Facebook. But this is really for the Grow Your Money, the Gym Masterclass. And so I just added you guys to the stream, and that's the reason why you're not getting notifications like you normally do when I go live. So this is not a live training. This is just me coming on here and adding y'all to it. So I do, so that's the reason why. So yeah, remember I said that last week, Double A. But hey, listen, thank you for joining us, because I want as many people to hear what I'm talking about as possible. So I do want to tell you that I think that a lot of people, we buy houses and that's where we stop. We just buy a house. We want that perfect house. We want that dream home. And I will say, when I bought my first home, I was not looking for anything except for the dream home. I was 23 years old. We got a 2,200 square foot, 4-bedroom house. I was just married, just had a baby, beautiful home. House was bigger than any house that I had ever lived in growing up. I never lived in a house that big. I lived in a 2-story townhome or condo growing up, but I never had a house this big. And so I was looking for the dream home. So what a lot of people are looking for is a dream home. You stop at the dream home, you pay the mortgage, you maintain it, and then you wonder why you're not really building wealth. Let's stop here, because this building wealth is not just housing, and you really could take that home and utilize it to build wealth. And I'm not here to tell you to not buy a home, because I'd rather you own a home than rent. Let me share a little bit of my business. When I moved to the East Coast. Remember, I moved here a few years ago abruptly, right? I moved to the East Coast abruptly, just out the blue. And not out the blue, but I kind of just, I was like 6 months. I either moving in 6 months, no, 4 months or 4 years, 4 months. So when I moved here, I said, I'm going to rent for a year, and then I'm going to buy a house. So I ended up renting for 2 years and some change. And I didn't want to rent that long. And I was living in a townhome. I was paying $4,000 per month for rent in this townhome. So think about this: 2 years. I lived there 2.5 years, but 2 years at $4,000 a month. That's almost $100,000. And I had not owned a home. Not only do I own, my primary residence, but I own rental properties. And so here I am renting, and I'm putting money into something that's not mine, to the tune of $100,000. It ended up being over $100,000, but $100,000 that I'm putting into somebody else's. I'm paying their mortgage, and this house that I was renting was actually paid free and clear. So he's making $4,000 off of me every single month. And I just couldn't fathom that in my mind. But people do that every day. If you're renting a home, you're doing that every day. So say you're renting a home and you're paying $2,000 every month. That's $24,000 that you're paying a year to live somewhere. Imagine if you put that money into a home, and now you're getting not only the $24,000, because it's like putting money in the bank. Really, when you own a home, it's like putting money in the bank. So you have this money, it's going inside that home, plus the equity. So not only did I waste money, I wasted almost $100,000 renting this house for over 2 years, plus I lost equity, because in the amount of time that it took me to buy the same house, I actually ended up losing $100,000 in equity by waiting almost over 2 years in purchasing a home. So $100,000, another $100,000 that I basically missed out on by me renting. And think about that for you. If you're renting, you are missing out on the opportunity to build wealth, to build equity. Now, of course, you can't use your equity right away, but it's something that you can use as leverage later on down the road. And I think most people think that you're thinking like homeowners. You're thinking like, I just want to be here and I want to settle. And you're not thinking about investors. Like, you're not thinking like investors. You're buying your home based upon your emotion. Oh, this is where I want to live. I have to be like this. Like this home I live in now, this is my dream home. And it's my dream home because it's not my first home. I have other properties that yield me income. So the house I live in now is the home that I want to live in. If I had to do it all over again as a 23-year-old, I would have done things a lot different. And this is what I tell my kids. So here's what I'm doing for my son. My son is graduating next month. And he's graduating from Hampton University. He's gonna get a job. And one of the things that I'm doing for him is I'm buying him his first home. So I'm investing in, well, it's actually his home. He's going to buy it because he's going to have a job. I'm just putting the down payment in, and I'm going to put in the closing costs, and I'm going to help him fix it up. Because what I'm buying for him is a multi-unit, fresh out of college. So here's the play. So as he gets out of college, I purchase he as a college student, he doesn't have to be in his job for 2 years. He could actually get to buy a home. He could actually get a home immediately because those years he had in college, that gives him the 2 years of work experience that you need in order to qualify for a home. So when he gets his job offer, when he gets his job, he'll be working there for a month, and then we're going to get him a home, preferably a multi-unit. That's what I want to get him. So at least a duplex. So he'll have a property where we're going to put 3.5% down. If it's a fixer, that's fine. We want to get him a house in a nice neighborhood, even if it's not in the best condition. We're going to utilize the money to fix it up. Now he'll have a tenant in one unit, at least one unit, and then he'll be living in the other unit, and that is paying for. That's paying it'll pay either all of his mortgage or at least part of his mortgage, and then he's also getting the equity. It's one thing that you could do for your kids. And that's how you have to look at it. So if I had to do it over again and I'm 22, 23, just buying a house, I will look at it as I'm going to buy a multi-unit or something like that where I can build the equity, where I can have somebody else that's actually paying my mortgage. You want to look at it as if it's leverage. Okay. So the property now does not just become an expense. It's an asset. Okay. So the way you leverage your asset is you can pull equity out of it. So here's the thing about you owning a home is you have no strategy. A lot of us have no strategy. They're in their homes. You're in your home for 30 years, 25 years. Maybe you've never even refinanced, and that's great. You have all this equity in here and you just have that. Learn how to take a risk and not just live to have this house just be a house for you, but use it as a bank. When you buy, don't just ask, do I like this house? You need to ask, is this house making me money? And does it have the potential of making me money? Because when you have one revenue stream, you know how one revenue stream is too close to zero. Okay. Having one revenue stream is too close to zero. So as your house increases in value, your wealth increases, your net worth increases, and that's money that you can use as leverage to do other things. Okay. So right now you have one house, you have one opportunity, and it gives you one outcome. What is that? One house, one opportunity, one outcome. So it's just a place that you live. It's not a place that you could thrive. It's not a place that you can grow. It's not a place that you could build. You're just utilizing it as one thing. Well, what if you took this? Here's what I sit down and do with my clients. And I'll give you a few examples. So say I have a single, and I've done this. I have a single mom. She purchased her first townhome with down payment assistance, FHA loan. She didn't have a whole lot of money, but she was able to come in with very limited funds. She stayed in that house 3 years. She got some equity. She built the equity up. She said, Constance, I want to buy another property. I said, okay, cool. So she buys a duplex. So she refinances the first property. Now she takes that out of FHA loan and she puts that in a conventional loan because you can only have one FHA loan within a certain distance at a time. So she gets that property out of the FHA loan, she puts it in a conventional loan, pulls cash out, just enough to put down on this duplex. So now she lives in the duplex because she has to live in one unit and the other unit. So now she has 3 units. So she has a house, the townhome that she's now renting out. She took the equity out, used it as leverage to purchase the duplex. Then she moved into the duplex. You only have to stay there a year. After she grew that equity, she took the cash out of that, and then she bought a triplex. True story. She bought a triplex. And then she took the equity out of that. She stayed in there. So now she has 2 people paying for her mortgage. She's not paying anything in mortgage. So now she has a triplex. So now how many units does she have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she did that for a few years. She took the equity out of that. She refinanced it. She's just getting FHA loans. Because an FHA loan, all you have to have is 1 to 4 units. So you could buy up to 4 units with an FHA loan. 3.5% that you put down on this FHA loan. Okay. So say she buys the duplex or the triplex for $400,000. 3.5% of that is what? It's about $13,000. So she takes the equity out of one property. Remember, the first property, she used down payment assistance. So she didn't have to take a whole lot of money out of that. This didn't require a whole lot of savings. However, it does require for you to have some type of reserve in your account, because you do have to account for if the units become vacant. You do have to account for if things break down. Now, for me, if things break down in my properties, I have a home warranty. So I just have my tenants call the home warranty company directly. If you have any problems, you call them. Don't call me. My credit card is on there, and whatever deductible there is, they'll just charge my deductible. You call the home warranty. They'll come out and fix whatever you need. I don't got to worry about it. That's how you do that. That's how you handle that. Now, if it's something beyond that, you still need to have a reserve. So don't do this if you can't afford it. She was able to afford it because she had money in her 401k just in case she needed to pull from it too, but she didn't have to. So then she stays in that triplex for a few years. She takes some money from there, and then she buys what? A fourplex or a quad. So now she has 10 units. Single mother, just her and her son. 10 units in a matter of maybe about 6 or 7 years, I would say. 10 units with very limited funds out of her own pocket. Now, it doesn't mean that something didn't come up where she had to fix some things that were beyond the home warranty, but this is what she was able to do. Now she has a net worth a couple of $1 million. She didn't have to put much in there. That's something that you could do. Okay. So her first home, it wasn't her dream home. She just bought a townhome. She took that townhome, used it as leverage to buy the duplex. Then she bought a triplex. Then she bought a fourplex. It's now she has 10 units, and she's able to just pull from that or live how she wants to live. Or that could be her retirement, or she could pass it on to her children. But that's kind of where she is right now. She's just maintaining everything. Okay. So that's one thing you could do. I have another example. So I had a veteran. I love VA loans. Let me tell you why. Because if you're a veteran, VA will finance 100% of the loan. It's great. And if you're in some areas like Maryland, if you're disabled, if you're 100% disabled, you don't even got to pay property taxes. Imagine that, getting a $400,000 home, your property taxes are somewhere between like $5,500 a year. That's another, $200-$300 a month that you don't have to pay on your mortgage payment. So let me tell you about my client. He buys a fourplex. Now remember, you have to live in one unit and to rent out the other 3. So he buys a fourplex. At the time, it was cheap. I think this was maybe about 2017. He buys his fourplex, puts no money out of pocket because he's a veteran. This is a VA loan. His mortgage payment was $1,800. At the time, I think he paid about $300,000. It needed work, but it passed VA. So it was good enough to pass VA. Now we know VA and their guidelines are really strict. So he buys it. His mortgage payment is $1,800 per month. Each of the units that he's renting out are only paying at the time $1,000 per month. Now, in this market, he's probably getting $2,500 each unit, right? $1,000 per month. So y'all, what is he cash flowing when he went in and he had no money out of pocket? He goes in and he's cash flowing how much? His mortgage payment is $1,800. His rental income that he has coming in is $3,000. So what is he netting? Anybody in the comments? What is he netting? I'm gonna tell you because since you're a little slow. Let me see if anybody on Instagram know. Anybody know on Instagram? Anybody know on Instagram? He's netting $1,200 per month, and he had to come in with no money. $1,200 a month. There we go. Dennis Spraggan said it. Yes. So he has his property and he's renting it out. He comes in with no money because he's a veteran. The money that he paid for the appraisal even came back to him. So he came in there with no money and he's cash flowing $1,200. And in a year, he increased the rental income, and he rented out that 4th unit because he no longer was required to live there. So now he's just making crazy money, and his mortgage payment is limited. That's what you could do. You could do that with an FHA loan. You could do that with a VA loan. Had he done that with an FHA loan, it could have been the same situation. He would have had to put 3.5% down. But think about this. He had to put 3.5% down, say on a $300,000, that's $10,000 he would have to put down on that property. Okay. He would have made that back in 6 months of being in that property. So you have that. Here's another strategy that I tell, Tina said we just bought with a VA loan. Okay. You sitting here going, wow, Carolyn, these are things that you can do. Another thing, like I said, about don't buy a house with your spouse. I talked about that in the beginning. One of the things that I never did in the strategy that I teach people. And I did a video about that. I was at a conference and I was teaching people don't buy a house with your spouse. And it went viral. Not only did it go viral on my page, but someone else reposted it and it went viral on their page. And so people are on there like, she don't know what she's talking about. Like, I've been doing this 20 something years. I help many people do this. That's illegal. It's not illegal. I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. But here's what I tell people. This is how this strategy works when you don't buy a house with your spouse. Remember, you could purchase a property. You two are married, right? This is what I say. Don't put anything together. Don't put your credit cards together. Don't get a credit card. He's a cold borrower on a credit card. Why? So now both of y'all are tied up in that credit card. Okay. Now he could be an authorized user or he can use your credit card, but he doesn't have to be on your same credit card because now both of you guys have the debt for what? Doesn't make any sense. Don't add each other to your car note if you don't have to. Why? Because now both of you guys are tied to the debt. And furthermore, don't have both of you guys on the mortgage. And so the first time I ever even talked about this, somebody said, Constance, you trying to put the devil in my marriage. Somebody said that. And then I seen on the comments, a lot of people say, I'm going to do what the Lord say do. You trying to separate. She trying to make these women be independent. I'm not saying to do anything separate. I'm not suggesting that you do anything that's going to separate you. What I am suggesting is that you work together to build this together. And here's how you do it. If you can afford it only, okay, you buy a property. You buy a property in your name. So, hey, you guys, both you guys have good jobs. We're going to get the first house in wife's name. Cool. We're going to get a conventional loan. I'm not telling you to get FHA financing because if you get FHA financing in certain states, they're going to want to know, they're going to want to put your spouse's debt. They're going to want to add that to your debt to income ratio. Now, it may not work. So I'm not suggesting that you do an FHA loan. I'm suggesting that you do a conventional loan. Now, that could be 3% down, or it could be 5% down, or you could even get a first-time home buyers. Okay, and get down payment assistance. So buy the first property in her name. It's both of y'all properties, especially if you live in a community property state such as California or Texas. Okay, so house is gonna be both y'all's anyways. Don't even worry about it. Just because it's in her name don't mean you're not entitled to it. So buy this first house in her name. Okay. Now you guys are both in this home. You're staying in it for a little bit. Now you're using the equity. Now the equity's built. You take the equity out and you buy that second home in his name. Now he's a first-time home buyer and he gets to take advantage of some of the first-time home buyer programs. Low down payment, low interest rate, all the things. So you bought that house in his name. You're able to probably maybe rent that one out. Then you could just rinse and repeat. And that way you're freeing up your debt to income ratio, right? So you're not purchasing in both names. So now you're both tied up. You're purchasing one in her name, then you're purchasing another one in his name, and then you can continue the cycle. Now, if you are concerned about ownership, here's the piece that's extremely important. This right here, your living trust. Now, I wrote a book, okay? And I was telling people about, because I have living trust. Living trust costs thousands and thousands of dollars if you have an attorney do it. My thing is, I paid an attorney thousands of dollars. Well, guess what? Came out AI. And so I was telling people on a podcast, I was like, all you gotta do is go to AI, you do this, right? And so what I realized is that people don't know what needs to go inside a living trust. They don't know what prompts you need to do in order to have a living trust. They don't know that. So I was like, let me just write a book. Let me write an ebook. So I wrote an ebook last year, sold thousands and thousands of copies. And I said, well, let me expand this a little bit more. And not only let me do the living trust, but let me put in your power of attorney, your medical directives, your pour over wills, your wills. So I have a paperback and I have an ebook which you can copy and paste the prompts, put in Chat GPT or Claude or Gemini, and have it create your living trust exactly how you need it to be spelled out. So I'm gonna just tell you, from my living trust, I have my insurance in there. I have my bank accounts. I have all the properties. I have all my businesses. Everything is in there and spelled out how I want each thing to go. So my daughter has a property. It's her property. I bought for her. I put the money down for her, but it's her property. That's in the trust. And as long as she collects the rent from that property, she gets the money from that property. But if she decides to sell that property once I'm dead and gone, those proceeds are split amongst all four. Even though I bought it for her, I put over $150,000 down in my own money. So the equity split between all four of the kids. Same with my son. I purchased the property for him. He gets all the rental income. Same thing with my other boys. I haven't gotten them properties yet, but he gets all the rental income. But he decided he wants to sell this, the equity gets split, dispersed amongst all four of my children. Also, I have it set up in my living trust that if they get married, that our assets are protected inside the living trust. So all of these things are spelled out in here with the businesses. All of those things are spelled out. How I have an insurance policy that is worth a good amount of money, and if I die, that insurance policy pays off this big ass mortgage, and then it also pay all the maintenance over the next several years. So they don't have to sell the house; they won't be displaced. And then I have other insurance policies, about 3 or 4 other insurance policies, where they could just split the money. And then I have, I have one more that I have designated to something I can't remember. But all that is spelled out in my living trust. Okay. And this is what will help you do it. This book right here. So if you want to get this book, you go to makemylivingtrust.com so that you don't have to worry about it. But those are things, go here. But those are things that you shouldn't have to worry about if you set everything up right. But so when I tell you don't buy a house with your spouse, or when I'm telling you how to set up these strategies, you got to have an exit strategy too, because it's not a matter of if we're going to die, it's when we're going to die. And we will die, and nobody really knows the day or the hour unless you planned it yourself. You really don't know when you're going to die. And it's better to be prepared than to not be prepared and then have your kids fighting. And if you've been watching any of my videos and you know about the horror stories, a lot of these are true horror stories that I know personally of people who have lost everything, or it's been eaten up inside the trust. A good friend of mine, I did a podcast with her a couple of months ago, a good friend of mine, my friend Tanisha. Her mom, they didn't have a close relationship in life, and in death, her mom left her. Like, Tanisha struggled and she shared this, so I feel I'm okay with sharing it, but she struggled during life. Like, she made some decisions that her mom didn't agree with, and her mom was wealthy and she was struggling somewhere else. And so she finally moved close to her mom a few years before she passed. Didn't know she was going to pass, but her mom left her well off with life insurance and houses and annuities and all these things. But what she never left her was a conversation or instructions. So now here she is, post her mom's death 6 months later. And what's happening? She's trying to figure it out. She's struggling. I lost my mom. We didn't get to really connect in the way that I really wanted to. And then now I have all these responsibilities. I got cars that I didn't know. I got the bank accounts. There was no beneficiary on the bank account. So now the bank accounts found out that she's gone. And so now I got to go through probate. So even though I have the trust here, the bank account has to go through probate because that wasn't included. There's so many moving parts. And this is what you don't want to happen to your kids, because they're already grieving that you're dead. And now they got to figure stuff out. And so you want to make sure that you prepare. But that's what the strategy calls for. That's what the strategy is. All of those different moving parts. So what I want for you all is, I don't want you to utilize your house as just a place where you're going to live. I want you to look at it, and I want you to structure everything. I want you to approach your real estate as something that's going to help you to build your wealth. Remember, the number one wealth generator in this country is not stock, is not business ownership. Those are number 2 and 3, but it's real estate. And if you can master that, and it's the easiest way, and it's the quickest way that you can grow equity and you can build. Because think about this. Like I mentioned earlier, here I am renting a property for $4,000 a month for two plus years, $97,000. Imagine what I could have done with that. Imagine, think about how much you've spent over the last 3 years. If you're a renter, just say 3 years, because the average time that somebody lives in a home is 3 years. So I've been in this home for 3 years and I'm renting it, and my mortgage and my rent is say $2,000. I don't even know if there's rent $2,000 a month anymore, because rent is so expensive everywhere. And I've been there 3 years. Okay, that's $36,000 that I paid in somebody else's on somebody else's mortgage. And oh, by the way, I'm not mad at y'all, especially my tenants. I'm not mad at y'all for renting my place. I'm not mad at y'all at all. But I want more for you as well. Actually, I have a place right now. I offer one of my tenants to buy it. I'm like, listen, I will help you. And she's like, she doesn't see the value in it. She's a young girl. She doesn't see the value in it, which I understand. Somebody's going to see the value, because here's a mistake that I made when I was 20 years old. I was living in my uncle had a condo and I was renting from him. I think I was paying maybe $1,200 a month way back then. And he wanted to sell it. This is in San Jose, California, in the middle of San Jose. And he was going to sell it to me for $100,000. And I said, yeah, at first. And then I turned around and I said, nah, I'm not going to buy it. And he sold it to somebody. That thing is worth $1 million now. It's 20 years later. But within a couple of years, it was already up to $500,000. I missed out on $500,000 in equity. I had some clients who wanted to wait until the market got better. I want to wait until the market gets better. I think the market's going to drop. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you think the market is going to decline and you think another 2008 is going to happen, it's likely not going to happen. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you the conditions of 2008. What 2008 was. When we had 2008, we had a lot of no regulation around loans. We are overly regulated now. We're overly, after 2008 happened, they overly regulated. So we don't see a lot of the same loans that we saw before. You also, in 2008, you didn't have any workout departments inside these lending institutions. So if you were in default, they foreclosed on you and that's it. Now, if you notice within these mortgage companies, lending companies, they have a lot of workout departments. If you fall behind, they have departments that are set up to help you. They will do a deferment. They will do a forbearance. They will do a loan modification. You say, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be working for the next 6 months. They will defer your loan for the next 6 months. If you are a tenant, if you don't pay that rent by the 7th, guess what can happen? Guess what will happen? You will get a notice to pay or quit on your door. You will get a, what do you call that? Well, the eviction notice, but it's called something else. You will get that on your door if your rent is not paid in 7 days. So owning a home is much easier. People say, well, I don't want to buy a home because, what if something happens and I have repairs. I have repairs that need to be made. Remember, I mentioned earlier, home warranty. I had a home warranty one time. I was flipping properties and I had a home warranty, and this is between me and y'all, right? I had a home warranty on a property that I was flipping, and the AC wasn't working. And so they sent somebody out there, some lazy ass contractor. They sent them out there to fix the AC. Well, the AC couldn't be fixed. So the home warranty gave me $2,000 to replace the AC. Well, guess what? I found somebody else to come out there and fix it for a couple $100. And guess what I did with that $2,000? I pocketed it. So there are all these obstacles that people have about, I don't want to get into real estate. I don't want to purchase a property because what if this happens? The same thing could be said if you're renting. Actually, you have less protections when you're renting, and you're just throwing money away. When I tell you, me looking at the amount of money that I threw away for renting for 2 years, and I had planned on renting for 1 year. I was like, let me get a lay of the land. I'll see where I'm going to live. And really what I should have done is I should have just put that money down on a house. And then I could have purchased something else if I wanted to move again. That's what I should have done, because at the time, the house has got equity and everything. And so when I look back, that was a mistake that I made just a few years ago. Because, I'm going through everything, going through divorce, all the things. So, I had to do what was best for my situation. I couldn't purchase a home while I was in the middle of a divorce. So, that was kind of that thing. But think about that as just being somebody that's sitting on the fence, that's renting a property. What is that really doing for you? And how can I look at real estate as a strategy that's going to really help me build wealth in the long run? And what does that look like? So one of the things I do is I have a couple of different things. I sit down and I do strategy sessions. I'll do a one-on-one strategy session with you. I do two different types of strategy sessions. I do a credit strategy where we'll do a one-on-one session. I'll look at your credit and we'll see where you are, what's going on with your credit, how do we get it up, and I will give you a whole report on what to do. I'll give you the templates. It's not a credit repair, it's a credit strategy. This is what you need to do in order to move forward. This is if you want at least to get minimum of 50 points within the next 90 days. We'll sit down and we'll get you your 50 points within 90 days, guaranteed. I shouldn't say guarantee. You're not supposed to guarantee that type of thing. So I'm not going to say guarantee. However, this is the results I've been able to do with these one-on-one credit strategies. It's easy. The other coaching that I do is a wealth coaching. That's also a one-on-one strategy where I will sit down and we'll talk about what that looks like for your wealth portfolio. So we'll look at everything that you have, everything that you want. I'll look at if you have properties, I'll run comps on your properties and let you know what type of equity that you have in there and how you can use that as leverage. We'll look at your debt to income ratio to see what you can actually qualify for and what's next. And we'll talk about how many doors you want to get and then put you on the plan to get those doors within the next however long that you want. Whatever down payment assistance that you need, where you could pull the funds from, however you need to strategize in order to get there, we'll put a plan, a real robust plan in place where I'll help you to achieve that in a one-on-one strategy session. So if you are interested in any of those things, go to Coach with Constance. I don't know if it's on here, but go to coachwithconstance.com. And I'm happy to have a one-on-one with you, Coach with Constance. And this is, I can't see. I'm a woman of a certain age. Coachwithconstance.com. And so if you're interested in the one-on-one strategy sessions with me, I'm happy to do that with you because I think it's an important investment if you really know what you're doing. And I think that's the reason why I did this is because what I do realize is that a lot of people want to do things. They're just scared to pull the trigger. They just don't know how to do it. They don't want to make the mistakes. They don't want to go the wrong direction. They don't want to lose money. I've lost money. I filed bankruptcy. I had a 379 credit score. So you never have to feel shame with me because I've been there, done that, wrote some books about it. I've done all the things, all the mistakes. I made all the mistakes. And so I'm here as a result of that, building this great real estate company and helping these thousands of people. And I've been able to, achieve that success. But it was by going through all the things. So now you don't have to go through what I went through. You don't have to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't have to make the same mistakes if you get the coaching with me. So the great thing about this month, we have a sale, a discount, a coupon code because it is Black Women's History Month, and this is for everybody. So it's a 25% off. Use this coupon code. So if you go to coachwithconstance.com, put in the coupon code, and this is for everything on my site. So if you want to go to my site and you see any way you want to work with me, whether it's the Net 7 Collective or it's the Grow Your Money Club, you put BWHM in and you get a 25% discount. And this is only until the end of the month. I'm doing a Bring Your Idea to Life training where I'm going to be training people on how to take their ideas and make income from it. Everything, you can use that coupon code and it's BWHM. So we're just getting to the end of our session, y'all. Like I said, this is only an hour, but I want to get to questions because I do leave a session for Q&A. Now, if you are not on, if you're not watching me from inside the portal, you can't ask any questions. So if you want to join me right now live, go to gymmasterclass.com and come inside the portal so you can ask questions. Go to Gym Masterclass. What is it? Is it here? Go to Gym Master. Oh, it's on the bottom. Go to gymmasterclass.com so you can come inside so you can ask the questions. You can get in here real quick and we're going to go through a Q&A. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you're not going to be able to ask questions. So I'm going to go over here to the comments and I'm going to answer questions for the folks who are inside the group. All right. Okay, let's see. Dennis says, I believe they allow home growers of cannabis to sell their flower. It could potentially replace food assistance. Okay, that's dope. I own a marijuana dispensary in Stockton. What's up, Ebony, Renee? Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get to the questions, y'all. It's a lot of comments over here. Too Real said, I'm trying to motivate my son. Okay. I'm trying to get to your questions. To buy separate. Tina said, I never thought about that. To buy separate. Yeah. Yeah. Danielle said, I knew the trust was coming. You know, we got to do the trust. Okay, that's a good question. Karen said, if someone gets hurt on your property, won't they have access to all your assets? It depends on how everything is structured. Okay, so if it's your primary home and somebody gets hurt on your property, you have insurance, you have homeowners insurance that should cover them getting hurt, right? If I am an investor and I have properties, I have investment properties, each one of my properties should be set up in a separate LLC. Why? Because if somebody gets hurt on one of my properties, then yes, if they're all under the same umbrella, if they're all under me personally, or if they're all under the same LLC, they can come back. They can come after everything in my LLC. Now, you should have insurance on all of them, but you just don't want them to, go beyond and try to be entitled to all of your things. So yeah, they can. If someone gets hurt on your property, they can come after all of your assets, depending how everything is structured. So if you have them in separate entities, then you should be able to be protected. Unlawful detainer. That's the word I was looking for, was the unlawful detainer. If you don't pay your rent by the 7th, you will have an unlawful detainer on your door. So equity can ebb and flow depending on the conditions. Absolutely, it depends. So there's different types of markets. There's buyer's market, there's seller's markets, there's all these different. So when we talk about real estate, y'all, it's about the long game. It's not about the short game. Okay. One thing I will say is, especially when there was a lot of REOs, I was doing like 300 REOs a year. I was doing a bunch of REOs, which are foreclosures. I was listing a bunch of foreclosure properties, and a lot of people they were like, you know what, I ain't got no equity, I'm going to walk away. Real estate is cyclical. It goes up and down, y'all. It goes up and down, and at any point, your value can go down. It could be up one year and it could be down the next year. It is what it is. Okay. And if that happens, you don't just give up the property because you don't have equity, because you're not in there just for the equity. You're in there to live. So I'm going to give up my property that don't have equity. I'm going to go rent a property somewhere else. I had somebody do this. I was like, what are you doing? They're like, we ain't got no equity. We just go let it go. We just go rent. And I'm like, but it'll come back. And it did come back. And they ended up renting a property and losing out on the opportunity of being able to gain that equity. Here's the thing. If you can't afford the home, then why are you selling? Even if it goes down, okay, maybe you don't have the equity right now, but you still have a place to live. And that's important too. So equity ebbs and flows depending on the market conditions. We don't know. And market conditions are different everywhere. In California, where I'm from, it's wild. Where I am now in DC, it's wild, but it may not be like that in Mississippi or Alabama or in the Midwest. You're not going to see the same types of returns on your investment. So that's also important, is where you're buying. Another thing about buying is you don't want to get the best house in the worst neighborhood, because some people do that. I've seen people go, you ever go to Jamaica and you have mansions next to shacks? You don't want to be the shack, or you don't want to be the mansion next to the shack. You don't want to be that. This house that I bought, which I say is my dream home, it's a mother effing fixer-upper. I got so much work that I got hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I'm in a great neighborhood, and I walked in with $200,000 in equity. Okay. So it's not always about, having the best house and having all that. It's how you look at it, and you got to look at it strategically. What are you going to do with this property? It doesn't have to be the McMansion. It doesn't have to be the best house in the neighborhood. It just has to be something that's going to yield you a return on your investment. And I want you to look at things from your investor hat and not just as a person who just wants a place to live. Okay. I remember people would say, they will come to me after they've worked with someone else and say, hey, this person is only trying to put me in the ghetto, and I don't want to work with that real estate agent because they only trying to put me over there. And then I look at their stuff and I'm like, well, you only qualify for the ghetto. Sorry. It wasn't them, it was you, boo. That what I'm saying is you might have to live. Yeah, you don't want to live where it reminds me of my friend Tanisha. The one I said was who was on my podcast. I said, she was telling me when she moved in her mom's house and how like her mom's house is almost paid off and her mom's mortgage payment is so low. It's the same amount as her rent, and her rent was super low. And I said, dang, Tanisha, how did you get a rent? Because her rent, it was only $1,200 a month. I was like, how did you get rent $1,200? She said, I was afraid every day. They were shooting every day. She said there was a white man outside that was completely black with soot. He looked like a miner. She was a sacrifice. I'd rather sacrifice and own a home in an area like that than rent, though. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do in order to build. And also, listen, hood is relative. I ain't gonna hold you. It's relative, because what might be when I used to take my daughter was little, and she's been in real estate since she's a full-fledged real estate professional, but she was like 5 or 6 going with me to look at houses, and she would be like, this house is little, or this is a bad neighborhood. And I was like, girl, shut up. Because listen, bad or good is subjective. Big or small is subjective. It's what you like. So if somebody says, Constance, would you live here? That doesn't necessarily mean that you should live there, because maybe I'm not going to live in the same places that you live, and you're not going to live in the same places I live. So it's all based upon what you like, as long as you can stomach it. But you got to look at it from an investment point of view. Is what's happening in the area? What's getting ready to happen? Are we seeing growth? Are we seeing possibilities? And again, like I said, I would rather live in a home that I own, that maybe the neighborhood might be a little sketchy, than a neighborhood that I'm renting that the neighborhood is sketchy. But it's all in how you look at it. You absolutely, at the end of the day, you need a place to live. Oh, you got your cousin watching. You keep telling her to get into this. Okay. So Pamela said, what are DSCR loans? DSCR loans are debt service coverage ratio loans. What is a DSCR loan? That is a loan that you can get. They call those no money loans, no income loans. It doesn't mean that you don't have to have income, because you have to have some skin in the game. What it means is the debt service has to cover the rent. What that means is whatever the mortgage payment is, the lender will finance the property, but the rent that you're receiving has to be more than the mortgage payment, and they will finance you. However, you will, and they won't look at your income. They won't really trip off your assets, but you do have to have money down. You got to have skin in the game. So it's not no money down, no income. It's a no income loan where you don't have to show your income. The great thing about the DSCR loans, because I've done several of them. Oh, by the way, I own a mortgage company. The great thing about them is they have great interest rates. So you can have a hard money loan or a private money loan that has no income, stated income loans. You can have those, but those are going to cost you, 11, 12, 13% in interest, 3 or 4 percentage points. So those are going to cost you a lot. I love the DSCR loans because they're no income loans, but they're still in alignment in terms of the interest rates as, like, say, your conventional financing. You're not going to get charged all these fees and all these points. You're going to have to put some money down, but you don't have to qualify financially for this particular loan, which is a great loan. So I love the DSCR loan. Okay. When you leave your spouse off the mortgage, if you can afford to, does that mean also leave them off the deed? Yes. So I will leave them off the deed, because what happens is when you put them on the deed, then taking away their ability to be a first-time home buyer. And if they go to look for another property and they see that their name is on somebody's deed, even though they're not on the loan, they're still going to add that against their debt to income ratio. That mortgage lender is still going to add them against it at that home. So they're going to say, well, what's the mortgage? Even if it's not on their credit, they're going to still add that. And so then you're just defeating the purpose. So instead of putting them on the deed, you put the house in a trust and you make sure that you guys are both the beneficiaries of that said trust. So now both of you guys are entitled to it. If something should happen, you guys are good. So the only thing is you don't put them on the deed. You don't put them on the loan. You put it in the trust and you let the trust own it. Okay. So the trust, you own nothing. The trust owns everything. Okay. Renting is still not equity. Boom. So why leave your house to rent? You know these people too, Martella. People have to understand and start where you're at. I'm gonna have Martella on here. She's gonna teach a training too, because Martella is one of the most brilliant agents that I know, and she's actually the manager at Catalyst Real Estate Professionals, and so she has a lot of great insight. I think we're gonna do a probate conversation because Martella does a lot. Martella is a probate queen, and so we need to have a conversation around probate and what that looks like, because those things are brutal. Okay, somebody said DC. Kyle said, don't be telling my business. Oh, about you over there telling the people, this house is little. Martha said, you know your mama. Strategic equity should be looked like stock. Absolutely, Marquisha. Let me see. Any other questions? Let me go to Instagram. Y'all, if y'all ain't on here, y'all come over here inside. Okay, I see people on Instagram. Hopefully, maybe you joined us over inside the Grow Your Money Inside the Gym Masterclass. So we're going to wrap this up. We're right at an hour. This is perfect. So listen, you guys, if you want to work with me in any way, go to my website. You can go to coachwithconstance.com. You can use the BWHM. If you are looking to buy a house, let me just tell you this. Everyone on the team at Catalyst, Martella, Ebony, Jahari, all the agents, Eric, all the agents that are inside the Catalyst team can do the exact same thing that I can do. Okay. So we are all trained the same way in terms of how we approach strategy, helping you build your wealth portfolio and your strategy. We are all versed in the same way because this is what we do. This is the Catalyst way. Okay. So if you need to buy in California, you can talk to anybody on our team. Go to our website, catalystrealestate.com. If you want to buy in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, you can reach out to me or Kyle. We're in those areas. We specialize in those areas. And we have a mortgage company as well. So we're licensed in Georgia. I think we're going to go ahead and get our license in Texas too, Martella, California, DC, Maryland, Virginia. But if you're in any of those areas and you want to work directly with us, shoot us an email or send me a DM at I am Constance Carter. Go to I am Constance Carter. You see it down there somewhere. Go to I am Constance Carter. Shoot me a DM, and either you'll work with me, my daughter, or anybody on the Catalyst team where we're able to help you put this together, because it's really important for us, especially us Black people, that we're looking at real estate in a different way. This is not just a house, it's not just a home, but this is your wealth strategy that's going to help you get to that 7-figure net worth. This is the way to do it. This is the easiest way to do it, the easiest and the quickest way to do it. But this is what puts you on an equal playing field. So we're not in New York. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to get in Las Vegas. So you've been saying that for the longest. We've been saying that for the longest, Martella. But anybody on our team, you're able to work with any of us. So shoot me a DM. Martella, put your information in the chat so that they know how to reach you as well. Kyle, put your information in the chat so that they know how to reach you as well. Ebony, if you're still on here, I saw Ebony. I don't know who else from the team is on here, but put your information in the chat. So if anybody wants to work with anybody on our team, definitely can help you. It's not about a sale, y'all. It's really about help. And even if you don't buy today, we can actually put you in the right direction so that you can. So put your stuff in the chat. All right, there we go. Put her up there. Marthella, I don't know, Kyle, if you're there, Ebony, if you're there. Kyle just put her name, Kyle Carter. How do they reach you, Kai? Is there a number that you got? Are you on Instagram? You see this? See how Marthella did? There we go, on all social media platforms. There we go. I don't know if anybody else on the team is on here, but put your information in here so that they know who they could work with. Because again, whatever you hear from me, you're gonna hear the exact same thing from them. And we just want to help put you in a position so that we are the first and not the last. We getting there. This is the best time to be alive, and we are getting there. We're gonna be there. But you need to work with people who are going to look out for your best interest. Okay. Take care and God bless y'all. We'll see you next Tuesday. I do have one next Tuesday. We're going to talk about the living trust. If you guys are not signed up, y'all, you got to sign up for next week's training. But here's what I got to say. I got to push it out. I'm going out of town. I got to go speak in Miami at the end of the week. So I will not be here next Tuesday. So we're going to push it to the following week. So if you've already signed up, we're going to push that training, but we're going to talk about, we're going to do some basics of how to create your living trust. We're going to wrap it up with that, but it's not going to be next week. It's going to be the week after next. Go to gymmasterclass.com. It's at the bottom. I appreciate you, lovely JR. I appreciate you. Go to gymmasterclass.com. And sign up for next week's training where we talk about living trust, but it'll be the week after next. All right. Take care and God bless. If you want to work with me, coachwithconstance.com or go to constancecarter.com. Love y'all. Peace.